Hello students, welcome to the session on rdbms. In our previous lecture, we have discussed about the database model. That is, the first one that we have discussed is relational database model. In that, we have discussed that this relational database model has been introduced by your EF core, right? And is very helpful in order to understand your data. That is, the data will be represented in the form of relations. Relations are nothing but the tables. And here we will be having what? Rows and columns in order to represent the data. So when we are having the rows and columns in order to represent the data, that will become easy to understand the table of information and number of tables that we are going to store in our database, as well as it is very flexible. Those who are not having any knowledge about the database management system and those who are not having any idea about the query system that we are going to use, right? But in order to explain the table also, you need to know the terminologies that we are going to use in your relational model. In that, the first terminology that you are going to learn is your attribute. Attributes are nothing but, for example, if I am taking a table, if I am having a table like this, right, which is our student table, consider this as your table, and I am storing the student ID and student name, location, address. I can say address, RS, and I'll be having columns like this. Then now try to understand what is attribute. Attributes are the fields or the columns in your table are called as attributes. These attributes can be defined like this. Attributes are the characteristics of your relation, characteristics of your table. So consider if student is a table, then its characteristics will be like this. Student ID, student name, student location, student fee, and student marks, etc. So all the characteristics of a student, will be called as the attributes of students. Okay, and these attributes are represented with the column names. Okay, and then see now, next terminology that you need to remember is schema. Schema is nothing but the design or as the structure in which you are preparing your table. Okay, so consider if you are having 4 columns over here, this is what the structure of your table. So consider if you are adding one more column, department in which a student is studying, computer science, RS electrical, RS cars department. Okay, like this. You can go for a department ID. If you are adding this, then you are changing the schema. Then you are changing the structure of your database or as the table, I can say. And in this schema, how you people will be representing the schema is, you people will be mentioning the relation name. Relation name is what? Student over here. Then you people will be specifying the characteristics of that particular relation. That is student ID, student name, and location, and then we are having fee, and then we are having what? Department ID. And if you are specifying in this way, this is nothing but your schema of the relation. Means to say that you are trying to explain the structure of your table. Okay, this is how we will be explaining the schema. And when I am entering the data into these tables, consider that 1001 is my student ID, and Ram is his name, and location is Tandu, and fees is 30,000, and department ID is 101. And I will be having similar information for a second student, and his name is this, and location is this, and fees is this, and his department ID is also 101. Okay, so consider if the table contains like this, then what do you mean by tuple? Tuples are nothing but the records that you are presenting in your table. The record is nothing but what? A particular person's information. For example, Ram information will be his ID is this, his name is this, his location is this, fees and department ID. So complete information about a particular person will be called as a tuple. So this can also be called as a record. collection of records will be forming the files, and this record will be giving us the information about a particular person. That is nothing but the tuple, and collection of these tuples will be giving the values of that particular table. Okay, and this is nothing but the cardinality, I can say. Okay, how many rows are there? That rows will be called as cardinalities. Okay, and now see now, what is the domain? I hope tuples is clear. Tuples are nothing but the rows present in the table. What the row will give? The row will give you the information about a particular student in this particular example. Like that only, in every table you people will be getting the instance of the table. Okay, that is what the relational instance. Directly we will go for the relational instance. So consider an instance of the table is Ram's information. Then he will be having entire information about the. Then I will go for Sita. Sita's information will be there. That is what the relational instance is. And then next we are having is domain. Domain is nothing but the knowledge. As we have discussed earlier, domain is nothing but what? Knowledge or the values that you are entering into a particular set. For example, Sita. I have entered Sita over here now. Then Sita is nothing but a domain, which is giving the knowledge about that particular student. Student name is some Sita. If you are specifying that, then that will become a domain. Okay. See now, in the next slide, I have taken some examples so that you people will be clearly understanding the concept that we have discussed in this particular slide. I'll erase this. Okay. Remove this. Okay, I have entered something into my table. Don't go for the values, but try to understand the terminology that we have discussed just now. Okay. Now this is what my table is. This is also a student information, student relation, I can say. So the relation is this. The complete table is relation. S is the relation. This S is nothing but student relation. Student relation. So in a student relation, we will be having the attributes like student ID, student name, status, and city over here. Okay, these are nothing but the attributes. And these four attributes will be having relation to one another. So that will become the degree of the relation. How many attributes are there? And after this, you see, you people are having number of tuples. Every row is called as a tuple. This collection of things will be called as a tuples. This is also called as cardinality of the relation. How many rows of information is there? And then we have discussed about the domain. Whatever the information that you are entering for this particular thing will be called as domain. Okay, values that you are going to enter into that. Okay, and in next session we will be discussing about the keys. There I will be discussing about the primary key. Okay, what is the key, how we will be using them, and how you need to remember them, how it will be useful for the next classes. Okay, that we will discuss in our next session. For now, you need to remember this concepts or the terminology that we are going to use in our relational database model. In that, the first one is attribute. Attributes are nothing but the characteristics of the table, and schema is nothing but the structure of the table, and tuples, and then domains, and then relational instances. Okay, this is how you need to remember about the tables. And whenever you are going for the tables in case of your relational database model, this relational database model will be supported by your SQL statements or as SQL language, structured query language, which is very helpful in order to create these particular relations. SQL stands for what? Structured query language. But with the help of this, we can easily create the databases, and we can easily create the tables. We can easily modify the tables also. As I already told you people that we will be having a flexibility in order to change structure of the tables. Why? Because it is very easy to understand, very easy to modify. Everyone can change. But as I told you people, we need heavy requirement for hardware and software in order to have the implementation. How these domains are created, how these attributes are created, what are the integrity concerns that we have kept. All those things will be hidden from the user, so that in order to do so, we will be having what? Highest usage of your hardware components and software components. So This is how you need to remember the terminology of your relational data model. I hope this terminology is clear to you people. That's it for now. If there is any doubt, just let me know by your messages. That's it for now. See you in the next one. Thank you.